Hello everybody, welcome back to Inspirational Landscapes. This section of the module is called On the Road because I think of it as being a kind of a road trip or a journey where we're driving along, looking out of the window at different landscapes and thinking about the geographical issues associated with them. And I mentioned at the beginning of the section the book On the Road by Jack Kerouac, from which I stole the title for this section. But we need to set other viewpoints alongside that. That's kind of the whole point of this module. We don't look at things from just one point of view. We recognise for any viewpoint that we see, we have to recognise that there are layers of alternative viewpoints below and above that one. So I'd like to set against the Jack Kerouac example another book, a book called A Parallel Road by Amani Willett, which deliberately challenges that view of the classic American road trip as being the ideal, of that view that well, Willett says has dominated art and literature in the recent past. And Willett describes his book as focusing specifically on how the road is a site of violence and oppression for black people in American society. So even something that many of us will take for granted as being one of these kind of touch points or common points of cultural reference that we can mention and take that as a starting point and all know what we're talking about. Just as in the same way that D.W. Mining said, well, you can't really even do that with a landscape because 10 different people looking at a landscape see 10 different things. If I say road trip, I might assume that a bunch of people will kind of know what I'm getting at and they'll be thinking of a road trip in the same way that I am. There'll be whole other bunches of people that are thinking about it in completely different ways. So one of the things that this module, I hope, is beginning to bring to your attention or beginning to emphasise for you is that idea that different things mean different things to different people. Different landscapes are viewed in different ways. Different landscapes, different journeys, different trips, different environments. They're different for the different people that experience them in different ways or at different times or because they're from different backgrounds or within different cultures. Having said that, I am still treating this section of the module, I'm thinking of it as being a road trip, a journey where we're looking out of the window, seeing the landscape, and we're reflecting upon these issues that arise as we do that, and the big geographical themes that are connected with the different landscapes that we're looking at. I still think that's a good analogy for what we're doing in this section of the module. It's just important that we do it, as Proust has said, as many of our contributors, if you like, our historical guests have said. It's important that we look at those views from different perspectives, from different points of view. So this week you'll discover, as you move on through the resources for the week on the KLE, YouTube and elsewhere, we're looking at mountains. That's going to lead us to think a little bit about the notion of wilderness and to look back a little bit at home, wherever we've come from to move out into this wilderness, and to try to start identifying some boundaries between what we consider home, what we consider wilderness, and as we move on further into the module, boundaries are going to be another of the big boundaries, frontiers and borders are going to be another of the big themes, or one of the next big themes that we look at. But for this session, let's start thinking about mountains, wilderness, and that view back from the wilderness looking back at home. And we'll talk about that this week.